season.
Here it goes. Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Wowhead Weekly number 106. Of course, 7.15's release date was recently announced, and it's right around the corner, so we're going to be talking all about that today, as well as Nighthold and stuff going on live servers. But before we get into all of that, let me introduce my lovely co-host, Wowhead Site Manager, Perculia.
Hey everyone, welcome to the first show of 2017. We have 7.1.5 to cover. We have Diablo things going on.
We do.
I'm a little sick, so apologies if I sound hoarse. But yeah, let's jump right into all the 7.1.5 stuff. And if you have any questions about the patch or where to find something on Wowhead, send Sass your questions and we'll answer them at the end of the show.
Yep. That's the plan. So I think we should start off by watching Blizzard's survival guide for patch 7.15, which, if you haven't heard by now, is coming out on Tuesday, which is January 10th. We are all very excited. So let's check out the video and we'll get back with commentary on it.
Welcome to the World of Warcraft survival guide for patch 7.1.5. In this video, we'll bring you up to speed on all of the changes and new features coming in patch 7.15. The first thing you might notice about 7.1.5 is that we've made a lot of changes to classes. The goal is to improve overall class balance, while also making each spec more fun to play and allowing for more diverse talent choices. We've also rebalanced how secondary stats such as crit and mastery on items contribute to your character, in order to make them more competitive with each other and open up more options for item upgrades. Check out our patch notes for more details. 7.1.5 also expands the time walking feature. Mists of Pandaria dungeons will now be included in the time walking event rotation. Anyone level 91 or higher can participate in Mists of Pandaria time walking, and there are several new Pandaria themed rewards available from Mistweaver Shah on the Timeless Isle. The Brawlers Guild has reopened its doors. As veteran players know, the Brawlers Guild is a series of single-player challenges, and in patch 7.1.5, it's better than ever. Not only are there dozens of new bosses to fight, but there's also new rewards to earn, and a few extra surprises thrown into the mix. Of course, if you want to participate, you'll need an invitation, which can be found in emissary bags, by completing dungeons, or by fighting the elite Vrykul on the Shield's Rest Island of Stormheim. We're also introducing a new type of event called Micro Holidays. These are short-term, just-for-fun celebrations, which will typically only be active for 1 to 3 days. Once patch 7.1.5 is live, you'll be able to find these micro holidays on your in-game calendar. Shortly after patch 7.1.5 releases, we'll also be opening the Nighthold raid. Tensions in Suramar City have reached their peak, and it's time to finally take the fight to Grand Magistrix Elisande and her demonic allies. You'll fight your way through a total of 10 bosses, including some familiar faces like Croesus and Tichondrius, and culminating in an epic final encounter with Gul'dan himself. These are just a few of the things to look forward to in patch 7.1.5, but there's a lot more, including new legendary items, an updated Blade's Edge arena, and new ways to catch up your artifact knowledge on new or alternate characters. You can read more on our website at worldofwarcraft.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the Broken Isles.
Well, that's a lot to take in all at once, isn't it?
Yeah, it sounds like it's, a small patch as far as content, but things like the secondary stat or class changes or new legendaries are, pretty big deals.
It's weird because I feel like it depends on what your definition of content is. I feel like so often people hear content and they think it's got to be a raid tier, it's got to be this. And I feel like we're getting, the Brawlers Guild is being reintroduced with a ton of new bosses. There's what? How many new bosses?
There's
like 50?
So there's 4 per 7 ranks, and then there's additional challenges afterwards. So like at least 30 bosses, like 32 at least.
That's a lot. Yeah. That's a lot. 32 new bosses.
I just meant that there's not a lot of like pets or mounts or like any questing zone.
Well, I mean there are, because with Mist of Pandaria Time Walking, we're getting a mount and pets, which will show in a little while. Plus, like, I don't know, with with the artifact catch-up, like, it kind of gives you opportunities to play
Yeah.
characters that maybe you weren't playing before. Then you've got all the
I think this
micro
patch is more
holidays.
like improving systems, and systems meaning like,
It's a
we'll
bigger
change the
patch than
secondary.
6.1 was.
Yeah. It's more stuff like, we're making artifact knowledge easier, or
Yeah.
like we're changing our secondary stat work, so the process
Absolutely.
of upgrading items is different, which,
Oh, yeah.
like, not to knock that. It's just, it's like an in-between patch, so we don't
Oh,
have
yeah.
as much content as like, an actual point whatever
like,
patch, but the systems are very, like, welcome changes.
On that point, though, of it isn't that big of a patch, like, I really appreciate that it wasn't in any way presented to us like this is a big content patch.
I
this
agree.
is a big
Yeah.
thing. Like, we were presented 7.15 as being this mini patch, this small patch. It was supposed to be in between to put some things in that weren't able to fit in with 7.1, to put some framework in for 7.2 and some other stuff, because 7.2 is going to be the biggest patch, according to John Haidt at BlizzCon at least. I mean, pending changes, obviously, but their plan for 7.2 was to be the biggest patch ever implemented in World of Warcraft's history. So considering that, I mean, it's so nice that we are getting these things that are presented to us in a very transparent way. Like, this is not intended to be, air quotes, content patch. This is intended to be just extra and bonus and stuff like that. And I'm really glad that they're doing stuff like that, because I feel like that was one of the biggest issues with something like Warlords of Draenor. Oh.
Yeah.
I hate
I
Sick
know.
Perk. I hate it. Somebody get us the priest. We need a dispel.
I know.
We need a dispel.
We could talk about the Brawlers Guild some more.
Sure, yeah, and I've got...
That's like the meatiest new thing.
Yeah, everybody's really excited about this because there's the Ogre Watch fight, and everybody's talking about it. There's a ton of videos on Wowhead of all the fights and all the ranks. So if you want to see the bosses, definitely go check that out. It would have been too much to include in today's podcast, but is definitely worth checking out. Of course, there's the brand new ranks 1 through 7 fights with all sorts of special challenges, and like Perk said, there's 4 bosses per rank, including some really fun stuff like Ogre Watch. There's Master Paku, which is a reference to Airbender, Avatar, The Last Airbender, as well as Ray D tier, which... if you guys
he
Warlords
transforms
of Draenor,
into every Hellfire Citadel boss for a few seconds.
I didn't realize that. I hadn't seen that, but I know that, we had the memorial in Warlords of Draenor that was the death of Ray D tier. So I really appreciate that they've been, doing all these inside jokes. Even one of the bosses of this Brawlers Guild is a seagull after everything with Eye of Ajara. I thought that was an absolute
And it's not just
riot.
any fight. That one is one of the special challenges that you can only get after you hit rank 8.
That's amazing.
So
I haven't
very
done that. Like,
serious boss.
full disclosure, I actually have not done the Brawlers Guild ever. Like,
wow.
Yeah, well, to be fair,
I got it done in MoP, and then in Warlords, a lot of the rewards were the same, so it was like,
Well, I was gonna do it in MoP, and then I had this really weird situation with a guildie, which I don't know if I've ever told it in videos, but I had a guildie who was like the main tank, and this was a long time ago, not in the guild that I'm in now. They got arrested for stealing a car. Real story.
Yeah.
So the
I knew
guild
about that, but I don't think.
the guild disbanded because our raid leader was in jail, and I was very depressed about World of Warcraft at that time, and that was right around the time when Brawlers Guild was really popular, and because I was so just like towards the game, and it wasn't the game's fault, it was just the situation that I was in was depressing. So I never did it then, and then by the time Warlords of Draenor came around, it just was kind of an afterthought. I was like, oh, that's old, that's from MoP, blah blah blah, it's in the past. So I'm really looking forward. I think I'm going to do it this time. Especially since my elemental weapon is maxed out. Did I tell you that?
Ooh, very nice.
I've unlocked all the traits. I got the artifact appearance for it. And it's funny because I did it before my resto one, because the last 4 traits in resto are so boring and terrible that I didn't care. So I've been funneling it all into elemental, and now I'll go back and finish resto now. But yeah, I'm really excited. I'm definitely going to try it as elemental.
There are a bunch of new rewards in 7.5. So like I was saying, like I skipped it in Warlords because the rewards are mostly the same.
Mm-hmm.
But in Legion, there are new shirts that appear to be from the special challenge bosses, and there's a new mount, which is the Brawler's Burly Basilisk. There's the Tyler Grondin pet. So yeah, there are a few new things, and another interesting thing is that in addition to just doing individual fights, there are these group fights called Rumbles, and if you're in the queue and someone buys this Rumble card, you get pulled into the fight.
Yeah.
So that's pretty fun.
Yeah, people are excited about that too, because I know there was a lot of kind of waiting around during the Brawlers Guild, so this kind of invites other people to play with you, and a lot of the things that you buy for Brawlers coins are group-wide as well, not group-wide, but like things that you can set down and everybody around you can use.
Yeah, like a spirit res, like right in the Brawlers Guild, because I like at least I know for Alliance, like you res by the Storm and Cathedral, and you have to like run through 2 districts to get back to your course.
It's deep into Orgrimmar as well, so I'm glad that they're adding more. I think, especially with so many complaints from Lords of Draenor being that, you know, you're by yourself, you're in your garrison, you don't even see anybody. I love how much this expansion they've implemented things that have been group content and just to, you know, get people to participate in playing with the people around them, even if they're not in groups. And I feel like we're seeing that now in the Brawlers Guild, but we've seen it in other places as well, just with so many things being world tagged. And so I'm excited. I'm excited. And also, if anybody heard the Basilisk thing, that is a Rockspine Basilisk. We just got the name of it in the last build before that.
Yeah, so it's like this cool brown spiky thing.
He's scary looking when he walks. There's a video on WoW. We've shown it in a couple of the podcasts. There's also a video on Wowhead's YouTube. He kind of like bug walks. He like slithers and he's got a lot of legs.
Yeah, he has a new animation.
He's
really
it.
cool.
Ugh, I don't like him. He's gross. He's a bug. He's like a giant bug and alligator mixed together. He's like a scented gator. Ugh. But yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff. Lots of shirts. Lots of stuff from the Brawlers Guild. Oh, poor Perk. So
I muted myself.
I know you did a good. I feel so bad for you. I'm also glad that because I went over and saw Perk, and then I don't know if you saw, I got a really bad speeding ticket on my way back from seeing you.
I know, I felt so bad.
Oh, it's not your fault. It's 100% my fault.
I know, but like you came to visit us.
It's true.
It was a long drive.
Yeah. Well, what had happened was, and not that the stream cares, but I was leaving Perks and I was going back to my house, and it was about an hour away, and it was really strange. Like when I got onto the thruway, which is like New York's paid highway, it started like blizzarding. I mean, like you couldn't see 4 feet in front of you, white out. Like everybody was driving 20 miles an hour for a good like half an hour, and then all of a sudden it just broke, and the roads were. It was like we just drove out of it. It was almost like the storm was like a band, and all of a sudden the roads were clear, and it wasn't just me. Like everybody was flying because we were all so impatient from going so slow on a 65-mile-an-hour road. So, and I just was the unlucky one who got pulled over. I mean, I shouldn't have been speeding, but I don't blame you. Wait, did you want to show your Pepe? I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm sorry.
So, obviously the Pepes are in the background of all the shows, and Panzer got me this baby Pepe.
He's so cute. Look at his little ears. He's so cute. Yep. That was made by Callie on Twitter. Callie Korish. Don't make me say your name. I love her though. There's a link on Perk's Twitter with the picture, but she makes these little things. They almost remind me of Tsum Tsums. She made me this Diablo one, which everybody was like very excited about when she sent it to me. And so right after she sent me the Diablo and his little warglaves too. Right after she sent me this, I had Pepe commissioned for Perk, and I kept that a secret for such a long time. She made little hats for him and little goggles and stuff too.
I have them in the other room, but yes, he has little hats. And they're very cute. He has goggles and like
her name's
Santa hat.
Callie Korishaka. Sass, do you know her Twitter? Can you link it?
Yeah, that would be cool.
You don't know what I'm wearing or why. This is my dad's Cub Scout shirt, and I have a tank top on underneath. I know, very exciting stuff here. Groundbreaking news. In other 7.15 news, of course, you've probably heard about the secondary stat change. To kind of TLDR it, right now, secondary stats are so important that if you get an item upgrade, it might be 25 or 35 levels higher than what you're wearing. And if the secondary stats are not optimized properly for your class and spec, it's not worth equipping. And Blizzard thinks this is a problem, which I would agree. So their solution is basically to take some of the weight away from secondary stats. So it'll take more secondary stat points to equal 1% of whatever the effect is that it gives you. So it essentially is just making all secondary stats less important so that you won't feel the need to prioritize them so much, which I don't know if this was the best way to handle it, but it was certainly something that needed to change because at this point in time, I mean, it sucks when you get an upgrade that's several eye levels higher and you're like, oh, but it's got crit and not mastery, so it's garbage. Like, I feel like nobody should feel like something is garbage, and they're secondary stats. They're not primary stats. I mean, I agree with this change, even though I feel like it could have been gone about a little differently. So
it's another update to that change. Jewelry was some of the worst offenders for items that you would hold on to. So in addition to nerfing the secondary stats, Blizzard added a special scaling rate for jewelry items specifically. So it gets more stats based on its item level than in the past. And it gets more stats per like an equivalent piece of armor. So the idea is that...
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Like the idea is that like the item level should be the driving factor, and jewelry was in worse shape, so they just like gave that item level like another like shot to have it keep going.
Yeah, and I get
Because
that.
jewelry doesn't have primary stats, so they had to do something.
Yeah, that's
with the
where I
item
was
level.
actually going with that. Is I feel like a better solution to that problem would have been to add a primary stat to jewelry, just a primary stat. And I don't feel like,
Right.
I mean, I don't know any. I like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I have all the answers. I'm not a game designer. I don't do things with balance in my free time. But it seems like just having your whole raid rolling on one thing puts the raid leader or the loot master in a position to say, like, just last night, this happened just last night, I want to roll on a ring that would have been a 20 item level upgrade for me, but it had crit and haste instead of mastery and haste. If it had crit and mastery, I might have taken it, but I passed it to somebody who rolled lower than me because it was their optimum stats, and they were holding on to like an 840 ring that had their optimum stats. So it's like, I feel like because you've got the whole raid essentially rolling on very, like, it's like everybody needs ring upgrades.
Yeah, and
this
was like new to Legion, how jewelry didn't have primary stats on it.
I hate it. I really
and
wish
it's interesting
it had
because
stats.
For all the other items, Blizzard basically did what you were saying, that so while they nerfed the amount of secondary stats on an item, they like increased the amount of stats on gear above 800, like roughly a 5% gain.
Mm-hmm.
So, your item is going to have like 5% more like agility and stamina on it, which should offset the secondary stat ratings nerf.
Yeah, and I think I'm glad that they're addressing it in some way. I still just, I feel like I would rather them have said, like, hey, maybe we shouldn't have taken primary stats off of all jewelry, have your primary stats back. But I'm excited to see how this works in practice, because we can sit here and theorize about it and guess how it's going to affect things, but we're not really going to know until it actually happens. So yeah, I'm not horribly upset about that. There's also a bunch of new legendaries coming. At least one for every single class and spec in the game will be usable as far as new legendaries go. And there's also going to be changes to existing legendaries. There's going to be some of the lower ones will be buffed, and some of the stronger ones will be nerfed to try to bring them to some semblance of balance. As somebody who has Pride as, like I'm sure everybody does, my guild message of the day is actually blank days since Pride as. I'm not kidding, because people get them so often. I think we're on day 3 right now. If anybody in my guild is actually in chat, let me know if I'm wrong. I think we're on day 3 of no Pride as. But that is getting buffed. It's getting more stats, which is really nice, especially considering how many... Oh my god, is Pride as still going to be terrible? Wait, I just had a real thought. Because, like, yes, they're adding more stats, but, like, aren't they also, like, since they're de-emphasizing secondary stats, like, does it matter?
Well, I mean, it has haste in addition to critical strike and mastery now.
Yeah.
So, like, you get a whole, like, new stat. Also, the absorb shield is 25% instead of 15% for non-tanks.
Yeah, all right.
So,
I still wish I wish I had 2 different legendaries, if I'm being honest. But at least my Pride as I can use on both specs without looking bad. But I'm really excited. The Shaman legendary that's new, and I know, like, I'm sorry that all I know is things about shamans, but the Shaman legendary that's coming.
It's a certain reminder. FYI.
It
for other people.
Oh my god, I'm sorry, chat. I'm sorry. Don't hate me. They're adding a legendary that makes it so that shamans get bloodlust for, like, it was 100, but I think they nerfed it to 50, right? 50%.
It's 75% now.
75%, yeah. So I really want that one. That's the one I want really, really badly. And then
it also looks like the Siege of Orgrimmar Dark Shaman helm. I like it when they make the legendaries look like, cool items.
Yeah. Well, and that's, I don't know if you've ever seen I have a Wolf Transmog helmet already.
It's like the Spirit Hood.
Yeah, it's like the gray one with blue eyes. So I'm already using that. So I would be very into another one. Because those were also they were red though, right? And they had like sideburns.
Yeah, that was, I think, like the Hellfire Citadel set and the PvP set were like that.
I'm into it. I am into it. What are you excited about for legendaries?
So what am I excited about for legendaries? I always like really looking at the references for all of them. So like
there's a lot of cute flavor text and stuff.
Like the Shadow Priest one is a Westworld reference, and I really like watching the show. So
I haven't seen it yet. Is it good? Is it worth watching?
I think it's good on multiple levels. I think it's fun to watch for like the plot and the twists, but it's a really high production quality and the music's really good and the costumes are good.
I heard it was good. Like if you think it's good, I'll definitely watch it. Thank you so much for subscribing. And I noticed that he subscribed with Twitch Prime. So I'm going to use this time to remind you guys, if you subscribe to us with Twitch Prime in the past, you do have to resubscribe every month. It will not auto renew you. So if you would like to stay subscribed to us, make sure that you're checking that every month because it won't auto subscribe you. That's all. Thank you so much for subscribing, though. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Legendaries.
Yeah, we have legendaries. So yeah, in addition to the buffs to like Prydaz and Cephas, you also have new effects like the Paladin Chain of Thrain, the Priest Phyrex's Embrace, and the General Norganon's Foresight one. And yeah, our guide writers are like updating their guides for 715 on what legendaries are good to use in the patch. So stay tuned. Blizzard's like hot fixing. They were hotfixing legendaries 2 days ago.
Yeah, 2 days ago.
So there's still people still doing calculations to determine how everything fits together.
Well, and I think that's a lot of the reason too that we're seeing 7.15 on the 10th and not Nighthold until the 17th because that's giving them time to see like in practice how broken things are.
If something secondary needs to be, stats work.
Yeah, if something needs to be fixed, they can do it before people are really in that competitive mode. I think we're good on legendaries. There's also a whole lot of class changes coming with 7.15. There hasn't been any official patch notes published, but Wowhead has a whole like collective on all the PTR notes and kind of combining them in the most up-to-date form. But they're unofficial. They are a lot of it is data mined, so just keep that in mind when you're reading it. But I'm hoping that Blizzard's will be out soon. I'm really surprised they're not out yet.
Yeah, their official preview said that to check back for the patch notes soon, but yeah, as you were talking, I was looking and I didn't see anything. So
yeah. Well, hopefully it's sooner rather than later because it's a lot to like have your class.
Yeah, it's a lot to process.
Shadow Priest, and I know we're getting big changes, and like Rogues and Hunters are getting new abilities and stuff.
Yeah, and like that post was like the most popular post on the site today, so it's like people really want to read these patch notes.
Yeah, they absolutely do. I mean, and that's the thing too. Is just like thank you so much for subscribing. We really appreciate it. It's just one of those things where it's the type of thing where you'll hear people kind of complaining about uninformed players. Like I feel like that's something you'll say a lot. Like, oh, you don't even read the patch notes. But like when you're also like cutting it so close, I think that can be a little bit damaging because people have limited time in certain places, and to not even give a week before you make these huge changes is kind of scary, but it's just a game. We can all take some deep breaths. We'll be okay. We'll be okay. And Wowhead does have a pretty, I feel like Wowhead's notes will end up being a solid like 95% accurate to what ends up happening unless Blizzard makes some crazy changes, which is not Wowhead's fault.
Right. Let's see. Oh, this one's cool. Artifact knowledge catch up.
Yes. This is super cool.
This is coming. There are 2 ways to catch up. The first thing to do, which is good if you don't have a character with high knowledge, is you buy an artifact research synopsis for 500 resources. You turn that in for 1 artifact knowledge level, and you can do that up to 15.
Yep.
And
that's for characters who are really far behind. You're not artifact knowledge level 15 yet. You don't have a main who's any higher than that. That is an option for people who have fallen behind on all of their characters. Continue.
Yeah. But if you do have a character that does have a lot of artifact knowledge, your alt can be in even better shape. You can buy this thing called a compendium on your high-level character and send it to an alt, and the higher your artifact knowledge is, the better boost you can purchase and send.
So you can boost,
like if you're at AK10, you can buy the book that will boost your alt instantly to 5. If you're 15, it's a book that boosts it to 10. etc. for 15 and 20. So, and that costs 1,000 order resources in your class hall. And there's like the tooltip text is really convoluted. And it's very lawyerly. It's trying to get across that like you can't exploit the system and like save up 20 and then use your book for 5. Like, you can exploit it, but basically, if you have the character with high artifact knowledge, send over the compendium book, and if you don't, get the artifact research synopsis up to 15.
Yeah, it sounds more complicated than it is. And what the most interesting thing about this was for me is that there was more data mined than what's being implemented in this patch. So there was like data mines of like, this could possibly go up to like 25 or 30, right?
Yeah,
like
I saw something of 30. It was like, trigger up to 25. And
yeah, so I'm
there's
really
no book for
hoping that means that maybe in 7.2 we'll get higher artifact knowledge. Because right now, like, even I, like, actually right now, I would be capped at artifact knowledge. The last time I logged in, it said I had an hour, and then I was at my 25, nice. Which I'm really excited about. It took me a while to get caught up, and as soon as I found out that the catch-up mechanism was going to be in 7.15, I decided I was going to level in alt, so I'll probably spend some time doing that over the weekend.
Yep.
So,
what do we got next? We got micro
holidays. Oh, I have a slideshow for this.
Yay!
So, micro holidays are new events that are being added in 7.15. They're short 1 to 3 day like holidays that, rather than paying tribute to things that happen in the real world like Christmas or Halloween, they are honoring things that happened in game or happen in game, like the March of the Tadpoles, what you see on your screen right now, or the Spring Balloon Festival, which is basically like this cute little journey where you get to learn a little bit about all different areas. And then there's things like the Guard Appreciation Day, Ungoro Madness, you go kill dinosaurs and other rares in Ungoro. It's just a lot of fun. There aren't any permanent rewards like mounts or pets or achievements or anything like that. This is not made to be in a completionist sort of holiday.
There
it's just
are
for
like
fun.
temporary buffs you can get, but they're not meant. Like, you can have a hippogriff sit on your shoulder for, like, a day.
I would really love it if they would add things. Like, I understand them not wanting it to be over the top and not wanting people to, like, get too into it. But then in the same sense, like, a little thing, you know what I mean? Like, a little something special that you could get, even if it wasn't something really flashy like a toy or a pet. But one of the things that comes to mind is from Mists of Pandaria, if you were exalted with the Tillers, you could buy this flower, and it stays in your bag, and then every time you die, a flower grows out of your corpse. And it's very small. Like, a lot of people wouldn't even notice it. But, like, I always leave it in my bags,
or, like, a cool item you could just use in that particular area. Like, going back to the Tillers, one of the rep rewards was, like, you could plant a tree, and it would just, like, flower in your, you know, farm. And only you could see that in your farm. So, you know, it'd be cool. It's like, oh, like, if you were in the Hippogriff zone, like, you know, you could pick up the Hippogriff, and it could, you know, fly with you in the zone.
Yeah.
If you were in Silithus, like, you would, you know, I think maybe something like that where it's not like, oh, I have this thing I can show off to everyone, but it makes you feel good when you go back to the zone.
No, I totally
and it encourages you to go back to the zone.
It encourages you, for sure. So I hope that maybe in the future it's something that they consider. I understand them not wanting to do achievements or a meta achievement or anything like that, or even like mounts and pets where it kind of has like harder core collectors in there, but just like fun little things I don't think would be horribly damaging to the community, and it would add a little more specialness to it. But I know you're really excited because the first holiday is on January 21st, and it is the Call of the Scarab, which is all Encourage themed. And you had said that this should have been a whole holiday, right?
Yeah, because this actually has a kind of permanent reward at the end. The banners by the gong will be Alliance or Horde themed for the whole year after.
That's a lot. That's a long time.
Yeah, there's like world quests associated with it. There are there's like you have to farm items, and then you turn the items into a vendor to summon bosses. And I just feel like because we've already got the quests and the permanent rewards and the vendors and like the little daily quests, like it feels like they're just this has the potential to be a huge holiday, and they're just kind of
test running it,
cramming it into a micro one.
That could be a test drive. They could be seeing like how people react to it and if people really like it. Because I know we had talked about one of the events that no longer shows on the calendar is the Kirin Tor Tavern Crawl. And Perk and I had talked about this and said this would be so fun if this was a monthly or even a quarterly event. As opposed
like relax
to
on Friday, do a bar crawl together.
Yeah, we had talked about this, and then all of a sudden it disappeared from the calendar. So I don't want to say things like Illuminati confirmed, but if it quacks like a duck. There's also Mists of Pandaria Time Walking will be introduced in patch 7.15.
Yeah, I don't think it's coming until March, but it's good to know that it's now like in the rotation.
It's like in the patch notes. It's in the patch. It's being added, although it won't be active for a little while. What's nice about this is that there is a bunch of new rewards that you can get from the new Mists of Pandaria Time Walking vendor, including the mount, which is the daughter of Yulon. Is that the name of it?
Yeah, and like really gorgeous jade.
Yeah, it's coming up right now. And then there's also the Paradox Spirit and the Infinite Whelpling, I think it's called.
Yeah, they have really cool pet abilities too.
Yeah, they're really cool pets. Like they're all the rewards are really cool, and plus that just gives a lot of people who have been doing time walking may have already bought all the rewards that they need. So it's nice because it adds a whole nother stack of rewards that you can spend your time warped badges on.
Yeah. Another detail is that there's always these commendations you can buy with Time Warp badges to increase your reputation.
Yep.
And for something like Burning Crusade, it's like, oh, these don't have very many rewards. But in Mist of Pandaria, that's
Yeah.
the expansion. Blizzard made a huge effort. Like every faction had like a mount or a
Mounts.
pet or a cosmetic helm or like tons of cool things. So
yeah, I'm trying to think. I think
definitely
there's
worth
one
doing.
Pandaria rep that I don't have. I definitely have the Golden Lotus. I definitely have the Shadow Pan Tigers.
August Celestials, like they had the
That was
you had to do like this. You had to fight Ella, and
I think I
then
did
she
that
got
one because that one
possessed.
you get the golden dragon, right? You get the isn't
No,
it,
that
like,
was Emperor
orange?
Xiaohao. That was on Timeless Isle, I think.
Yeah, I definitely did. I definitely have one of the. I definitely know that I have one of the cloud serpents. I feel like it's yellow and orange or gold and orange. I can't remember.
Okay.
And then I definitely have the tigers because I wanted the tigers. I farmed those out, but I don't think I have the Claxi, and I might not have the one that you had just said.
Yeah, the Claxi has like all the Amber stuff and the Amber Scorpion. So
Yeah, I don't have the scorpion, but I did get the toy. Right? Is that for Revered?
I think so.
Yeah, so I have the toy.
Yeah.
I just don't have the. So I might finish those out in that way because there was a lot of rewards for Mist of Pandaria, a lot, and there was a lot of good transmogs from Mist of Pandaria too. And all of those, a lot of that gear was gated by reputation as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's still the case, but even if you're just running the instances, you can pick up some of that dungeon gear and look pretty cool and distinctive
for
compared
sure.
to, the usual like fantasy dungeon gear.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff with Miss Pandaria too. Like I know there's a pet that you can get from Storm Stout Brewery that isn't a drop. You have to go through and collect all the
hopling. You have to complete Ling Ting's Herbal Journey to collect the golden hoplings on any difficult.
Yeah, so you should be able to do that on Time Walking, but it's one of those things where you have to clear the dungeon first, and then you go back through after it's cleared, and you go pick up all the things, and then you get a pet. But yeah, so there's a lot of different things in Miss of Pandaria with that. Plus, you can still get the Time Warped Drake. What's it called?
Very low chance.
Yeah,
Infinite Time Reaver.
The Infinite Time Reaver. Plus, you can use your badges to get the BC or the Wrath of the Lich King mounts as well. So there's a lot of opportunities there. Yep. And I'm always excited to see them expanding Time Walking because I am someone who would really like to see like a monthly or weekly Time Walking raid. Like I would love that.
Right.
That would.
I know we keep pushing for that.
That would be so much more, especially because I know it's something that my guild would do. Like it wouldn't really be about an LFR difficulty at all, but if it were something where it was just 10 man or 15 man, or if it had the flex difficulty, like I know that's something that my
wouldn't
guild...
it be cool? Missed opportunity if Call of the Scarab was like flex mode for
what the heck?
Encourage.
Missed opportunity. It could have been flex Encourage. You're so right.
They even have the world quest to go into Encourage.
So. Oh my god, and there was so much good gear. Encourage is like, if you're ever farming for transmog, Encourage is like, there's a lot of good stuff that drops. It's where all the like glimmering plate, or I don't know if it's mail or plate anymore. They changed it, but all
like in addition to like the official epics, it was a really good place to farm a lot of
world
like
drops.
rare BOE stuff.
Yeah,
and like the glimmering mail, glimmering plate. I think the glorious set. A few sets like that, saltstone stuff.
There was a bunch of cool, like, guns and stuff out of there, too. In general, it's just a cool zone. I didn't play in vanilla, but it's funny because I've done Encourage about 25 times. Just variously, either people running it low, like a long time ago and I went with them, or, or just recently doing stuff with Transmog. It's a cool zone. I would love to see them making some of these older raids available again. I read a thread on Reddit the other day that was about how difficult Mythic Helia is, like, as of the time of this thread.
Like, it's had very low amount of guilds that had...
Yeah, they were talking about how at the time it was like 125 guilds or something like that worldwide have killed Mythic Helia, which is... that's nothing. Like, if you think about the grand scheme of how many guilds there are and how many people there are, that's nothing. And then people were bringing up that, before the pre-patch for Burning Crusade, in Naxxramas, there was something like 38 guilds had actually cleared Naxxramas 40-man, which is mind-blowing.
And also thinking about Encourage, like, a lot of guilds that weren't going to clear Nax, they would do a few bosses in Encourage, and then when the ending ones were too challenging, they would go and do the first few bosses in Nax.
Yeah.
So I don't think a lot of guilds cleared Encourage either.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. So it would be super interesting if they were able to, like, bring those back, because they're not things that are being run right now, and I hate to see wasted content. And I understand that part of that is because, even if you were to compare things like corpse runs and trash, like, vanilla raids are nowhere near... what we play today. I mean, just when you talk about something like Nax, like how many bosses are there in Nax? 18. There's so many. Like, there's so many bosses, and then there's so much trash, and it's a lot. Even going through Nax, the revamped Nax was a lot, and I can't imagine at the time when it wasn't broken up into wings and it wasn't saved separately and it wasn't, you didn't have all these options in front of you. So I feel like if you're hearing things like only 38 guilds cleared this, like, I would love to see them bring back these things, and so that people...
like there's so many art assets, you know, mounts and pets, and the way you got your tier items was really intricate. You had to like loot scarabs from chests and have certain reputation levels. And yeah, I think we've discussed this before, just how it feels like, you know, Blizzard like introduces all this new content and then it seems to have like a short shelf life. And it's like, let's think of ways to keep extending it because, you know, there's like 12 years worth of stuff in the game, and if you started playing in Legion, you don't know about all this stuff from all the other expansions.
You know what would even be cool is if instead of saying like, okay, let's make this, let's revamp this so that we can do a time walking version of a raid where you need 10 or 15 or 20 people, wouldn't it be cool if after a raid was, say 2 expansions old, where it was just no longer current content at all, if they did some sort of revamping where you could go in on a single person difficulty? Where it wasn't just blazing through it for transmog, but it was actually like an instance intended for one person to do.
Right, more of a challenge that way.
Or even 2. Even if it was, like, I'm not talking about a whole dungeon group in any way, but it would be neat. And I feel like it would get done a lot. I feel like people would do that kind of stuff a lot, especially if, you know, let's say if you did your solo person dungeon that took an hour or 2 hours and you got like an extra badge every week to roll, or you got, you know, maybe some order hall resources, or maybe you got some artifact knowledge or artifact power or whatever. You know, it's just, there's so many cool rewards that they could tie to it that would be really, you know, people would want them. And then it would also, I just feel like there's, like you said, there's just so much content that goes unplayed, and I would love to think of more ways that they could, you know, get people
like,
back
you know,
into
use all
playing.
this stuff.
Yeah,
especially
I mean,
like, you know, lots of people at this point are not playing. We're not playing, you know, when Vanilla came out. And
yeah, a lot. I would actually be very interested to see what the numbers of people who are actually playing in Vanilla compared to that started playing more recently, because I consider myself to be a pretty long-term player. I started playing at the beginning of BC, started playing at the beginning of BC, but like, I mean, vanilla players aren't unheard of anymore, but it's a rare thing.
Right, or even like, you know, Burning Crusade players, it's, you know, they're you know, there are people that see a Legion ad at, you know, a movie or on TV and they're like, oh, I'll pick it up, and they have no idea what, like,
I literally, I mean, look at my sister. My sister raids in our guild now. She's like a bomb resto druid, and like she started playing like 2 years ago. My sister-in-law started playing a year ago. My friend Steph started playing about 6 months ago. Like, I know a lot of new players to WoW, and I think it's really unfair to dismiss those people just because they're new. I don't think that's and new is such a weird term, because think about any other game. If you're playing Skyrim for 6 months, you wouldn't be new. You know what I mean? So it's it's a really interesting paradox, I guess. But moving on.
There are profession recipes.
Yeah, there
are. So the biggest thing with profession recipes is that blacksmiths can get these weapon recipes in creative ways and craft weapons, and these are purely for transmog because the recipes are versions of ones that like were from years ago and then got lost when Blizzard revamped how professions worked, or, you know, changed the zone and then deleted the mob that dropped the recipe. So yeah, there's like, I want to say maybe 10 or 15 of them, and you know, all different ways to get them. Engineers might have a shoulder enchant.
Oh, I'm super excited. They're
drops,
getting there's like 4 different ones, and one of them is called Bane of the Zookeeper. And it's a shoulder enchant that when you're out in the world...
I think you can just buy that one. I don't think it's engineer related, but it's very cool. It's so cool.
I'm so excited for it. Yeah, I know there's 4 new ones. I think one of them is engineering only, though. Engineers can make it feel like themselves. But the one I'm really looking forward to is the Bane of the Zookeeper, because you can get charms and bandages and stuff when you're just out in the world.
Yeah, pet charms.
Stuff. Yeah, I'm super pumped about it. Yeah, that's it. And then there's also the Blade's Edge Arena visual update, which we've showed you a bunch of times. If you want to see it again, it's on Wowhead's YouTube channel. But it's just a visual update of the Blade's Edge Arena. It's got a new announcer pack and all sorts of fun stuff. Now, keep in mind, all of the things that are coming in patch 7.15, they do not include Nighthold. Nighthold is not coming out until January 17th. At that point, Normal and Heroic will open, and then the following week on the 24th, Mythic and LFR Wing 1, and then eventually the final wing of LFR will be out on March 7th. There are boss guides written for everybody but Gul'dan, right?
Yeah, he was tested for the first time in December, so like we need a little bit of extra time to finish him up.
Yeah.
But yeah, the first 9 bosses were written by Diane, who's now at Blizzard, and she got the first 9 Nighthold guides done on Wowhead, and then the Gul'dan guide will be by Fat Boss TV, who also took over and wrote our Trial of Valor guides.
Yep.
And you can access the Nighthold guides if you go to Wowhead's any page on Wowhead and you go to the word raids in that navigation bar and it has all the guides listed, or you can go to the patch 7.1.5 drop down menu and it's there as well.
Yep. Now, the loot increases as you progress through the instance, much like we've seen in the earlier raids of Legion. The first 3 bosses are going to drop level I level 900 Mythic. The next 6 will drop 905, and Gul'dan will drop 910. That is on normal difficulty? Mythic difficulty. Sorry.
Yeah,
I was going to say, that sounds really high. Holy crap,
yeah.
That sounds really high. Yeah, okay. So that is all on Mythic difficulty, a difficulty that I will likely not see. You know what's funny, though? I've talked a lot about how last expansion I was in, like, a very hardcore progression group.
Yeah.
And this expansion, I'm in a much more chill group, and it's the best thing ever. Like, it's the best.
Good.
We just like have fun, and we're not like behind or anything. We've cleared heroic, and we're working on heroic Trial of Valor right now. But it's our first week. Like we never really attempted it because we were like, we don't care.
Yeah.
And then it's been nerfed a couple times. We went in and we like 2-shot the first boss, and we got the second boss to 2.4%.
Ooh, very nice.
That's a heartbreaking percentage, is what it is.
You'll get it soon.
Yeah, we'll get it. We'll get it on Sunday. But it's been really great. We're all really looking forward to Nighthold, if for no other reason than we're getting tier. So excited.
Yeah.
So excited.
So 6 bosses drop tier Nighthold, and
Yeah.
yes, it's 6 because bosses now capes are now part of tier 19 sets.
Do you remember us speculating about that?
I know, that was
ago?
so cool. They match.
We were like, the capes match.
Mug.
Are they doing it? Are they doing it, guys? And everybody's like, you guys are crazy. It's just coincidence. We're not crazy, and it wasn't a coincidence. So that's really exciting. And we'll talk more about Nighthold next week because it's not super relevant to this week.
Yeah. One more detail before we go on, because you mentioned it. The ahead of the curve and cutting edge achievements for the other raids, they're not going away on the 10th. They're going away on the 17th.
Okay.
There was a blue post on it like 1 or 2 weeks ago.
Oh, I actually didn't know that. Maybe we'll still get ahead of the curve for Trial of Valor, guys.
Yeah.
Maybe we're making runes for Helia. We're afraid of Helia heroic. I know that she's like a guild killer on Mythic, but she was hard on normal. Helia normal was harder than any of the heroic bosses in Emerald Nightmare. It is a hard fight. I mean, we got it down now, but hopefully heroic isn't too bad because I'm scared. I'm scared, guys. Now, as far as what's going on live servers right now, I'm sure you guys have noticed that we are in the midst of the Diablo event in World of Warcraft. It runs through, is it January 9th or is it January 11th? Did they change it?
The data mine calendar said the 11th, but the Blizzard post
said the 9th. Gotcha. So it runs through January 9th.
We'll see.
Yep. You can kill treasure goblins. They spawn randomly in the world. They also spawn every 5 minutes in the sewers of Dalaran. And if you kill them before they finish their cast for the escape portal, it'll instead open a portal to the secret cow level. You can go in there and defeat the cow king. You can only loot him 1 time per character, though. So don't be surprised if you go in there and you don't get loot a second time because it's working as intended. And he drops the 12-string guitar, which is a toy. It only works in inns, but it plays Diablo music, and it's really long. It's like 6 or 7 minutes.
It's on a 1 hour. It's on a 66-minute cooldown and 6 seconds. So it's
ridiculous. They're so ridiculous. Yeah, and the guitar in it is super cool. And once you learn it, you'll get a feat of strength for Diablo's 20th anniversary. And you can farm the treasure goblins to get the toy, which is the Tome of Town Portal, which it shares a cooldown with your regular Hearthstone. And it works as a regular Hearthstone, but it plays the Diablo sound like a portal is opening instead of the regular Hearthstone.
It's also a toy, so it frees up a bag slot.
Yes, and I really feel like it was a missed opportunity, though, to just have a portal appear in front of you, even if it was purely aesthetic.
I know.
Even if it didn't do anything, it would have been cool.
Yeah. Also, we data mined the Stone of Jordan item, and it's not.
I know.
No one's seen it. Everyone is sad.
It's weird, and I said the same thing. I talked about that in my video, and what's weird, too, is that there was another currency, too, on Alpha when they were testing Treasure Goblins. There were these
the Sanctuary
coins, and they popped up on your screen like there was an extra action. It wasn't an action bar, it was a scorekeeper.
Yeah, it was in the center. Yeah,
it was like a scorekeeper. As you were killing the goblin, these coins would fly off, and you would get your total would go up, and I don't think it really did anything except visuals.
Just flavor stuff.
But I would have liked the flavor stuff to stay. I liked that. It was fun. It was fun. And then, oh my gosh, I loved this post, and I almost made a slideshow of it, but I couldn't get all the images to fit nicely. So Wowhead did an entire post on Diablo-themed transmogs to celebrate the event, and Christ almighty, it was so good. The Oriel one, the Oriel, amazing. It was so good. It was so good. They were awesome. The Diablo one itself was good. The Leo one was super good. So if you have played Diablo at all, I would definitely check that post out because you will get a kick out of it. It's really good. It's really good.
Yeah, Serene and I worked on that over the holidays, and
you two are the best
together.
I'm not like it's when you say it was you two who made it, I'm not surprised at all. And she loves Diablo. Serene, if you ever see her posting on Wowhead, she does a lot of anytime we do BlizzCon stuff, she transcribes. Like, she's a really fast typer. But when we were at BlizzCon this year, I talked to her, and she was so excited about the Necromancer and Diablo stuff. So I'm sure that she was really pumped to be able to like work on that, and like I'm sure she was excited about that because she loves Diablo.
Yeah.
So
there's also Diablo stuff going on in other games.
There is.
And this is why we're rushing, because we want to do some other Diablo things after the show.
Right now in Diablo is the Darkening of Tristram. Tristram. I'm really bad at that word, but it's really cool. If you haven't done it, definitely check it out. It's a filter so they remade a level of Diablo 1 in the Diablo 3 engine, but then they added a filter over it that gave it the appearance of being pixelated, almost like not quite 16-bit, more like a 32 or 64-bit. It's really cool, and the run animations are old, and it's awesome. And then they have the cinematic at the end is also like the old. It's really neat. If you haven't done it and you have Reaper of Souls, I do believe you need to... Oh, you know what? You don't have to have Reaper of Souls. Because I saw somebody in general chat saying that they had so much fun doing the anniversary event that they were going to buy Reaper of Souls. So you don't even have to have Reaper of Souls to do it.
I believe it's on sale, though, now.
That's good timing on Blizzard's part. Well thought out marketing team, because I bet a lot of people will buy. And what's even better about this is that the reason we're rushing right now is because season 9 for Diablo starts tonight at 8:00. I'm so excited. But also in Hearthstone, they did a tavern brawl that has you have to fight the Cow King, and there's a cool card back too. Did you see the card back?
I know, it's so cool.
It looks like so the middle. It's so cool. The middle of the Hearthstone looks like a Diablo health globe, and it like fills up and drains. And fills up and drains. It's really cool, which is awesome. Then there is also the Heroes of the Storm Brawl, which is on High Heavens, and if you complete the quest, you get a player icon. There's a StarCraft portrait of Diablo, and then if you log into Overwatch during the event, you will get a bunch of sprays as well as an icon. Though, I'm going to be honest, I kind of have a bone to pick about that, because they were just sprays of the characters that are in Diablo, and I feel like there was a real opportunity to have Overwatch characters cosplaying as... Like, Reinhardt could have been the Crusader, and Zarya could have been the Barbarian, and you could have had Tracer be the Demon Hunter dual wielding. Reaper.
I agree with you.
I feel like they had an opportunity to kind of just go a little farther with it, and I wish they would have. But the icon is awesome. If you're a Reaper main, like, you'll want the icon because it looks very Reaper-y. It's creepy and cool. Yeah. He's the Wanderer, the Dark Wanderer, I think it's called. But that's what's going on in the World of Warcraft right now. Did we have any questions from our live internet audience?
We had a few. Some we can knock out pretty quickly. Sure. Any idea when 7.2 is coming, since it is the major patch? We don't know. The PTR hasn't gone up yet at BlizzCon. Blizzard said that they thought the 7.2 PTR would be pretty soon after 7.15 goes live, but I'm sure there'll be a break to, like, tune for Nighthold and do all that other stuff.
Yeah, I would think it would be a while, because in an earlier, and granted this was not from BlizzCon, but back in June, which would have even been before Legion came out, there was an interview where they said they wanted like 7.1 to have a raid, which would have been, I would kind of consider 7.1's raid Nighthold, even though it didn't come out till 7.15. Right. And then 7.2 would have a raid, because that's going to be the Tomb of Sargeras. Yeah. So I mean, that patch is going to be massive. I would. Yeah,
I don't think they want the 7.2 stuff to like overshadow like Nighthold and all that.
It'll be a while. I would say summer. Like, I bet it won't be out till like June.
Right. I just meant the information. Like, I don't think the PTR stuff will be starting up like
Oh, yeah.
now.
We'll start getting PTR stuff soon, which I'm really excited about to see the mounts. And 7.2 is going to be awesome. Awesome.
Yeah. Someone is asking us about class changes, and just want to say, like, we don't want to answer that because we're not experts on 36 specs, but if you go to Wowhead's Discord, we have a special role for our guide writers, and you can ask them questions there, or specifically in the class Discords. And the second part of the question was, why didn't they specify class changes in the video? So, like, these videos are only, like, they're only 2 minutes long. They have to be really short. They have to have, like, closed captioning. And, you know, they can't go through
36.
all those.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, like someone just would like get bored and tune out of waiting to hear their class come up.
Yeah, I mean, as someone who does YouTube videos on my YouTube channel, I do class changes every time there's a new expansion. And just to give you a little insight of how much work that is, it took me to do all, because there's 12 classes, 36 specs. It took me putting up one video a day, and I did one for each class as opposed to each spec. Yeah. Those videos were all between 10 and 20 minutes long, and they took I spent, like, from the moment I woke up until the moment I went to bed every day on those videos. And that was outsourcing guide writing as well, because I'm not an expert on every spec either. So, I mean, I like paid a warlock to write the warlock guide. I paid a warrior to write the warrior guide. So, the amount of work that would go into doing that type of thing is massive. And also, I think the other issue is when you put something on the internet, like a video, that is kind of going to always be on YouTube. And Blizzard tweaks stuff like that so often that within... they might hotfix out some of those changes.
Yeah, there was already 2 hotfixes this week.
Yeah, so I think that's part of the reason they don't usually do video guides. But what's so nice about Wowhead is that the guides are kept up to date for every patch for their classes. And then you also have access to talk to the guide writers directly on Wowhead's Discord, which Sass will link, or he already linked it. So if you use Discord, which if you don't, I highly recommend it. It's a great program. Definitely join Wowhead's Discord, because if you do have any specific questions about your classes, there are experts that are there that want to answer your questions. They want to help, and it's not something you see with a lot of other sites and a lot of other places that you can find guides. It's very rare that you can actually talk to the person who wrote the guide if you have a question.
Yeah, we also have talent calculators and like artifact calculators. So if you just want to like futz around and pick your talents and save them, you can do that as well. Oh yeah, this was interesting. Any further news on the WoW token converting into Battle.net balance for next patch? Has it been tested out at all yet? So it's like it's there, like it's in the data.
The
like
strings are there.
Yeah. So by strings we mean like like purchase this and convert to this, or like Battle.net token cost XYZ. Like all that's there. It's just hard to test on the PTR because there's like the test currency and they sell things that like aren't on live servers. But
they didn't
the framework is there.
They didn't announce it, so I have a feeling it will not be here on the 10th. And if it does go live at all, it may go live on the 17th. But if not, I feel like it'll be something that, because it's already in the data and they're just working out tweaks in the background, I feel like it'll be something that will be activated at some point between 7.15 and 7.2.
Yeah. Someone was asking about the item levels in Legion kind of increasing and getting out of control, and will there be another stat squish in the future? And I'm blanking out on the source, but I thought there was...
Said no, didn't they?
I thought it was the engineering panel, and maybe this was answered in Wow's BlizzCon interview as well, but it was brought up in one of the engineering panels, and the reason for the stat squish was some sort of technical limitation, and the engineers fixed that, so they don't need it again. But there's an issue of aesthetics where, like, this... like after so many zeros, like, do you just like tune out that your character is being powerful?
Well, I mean, in Diablo, all they did for that was add a thing so that you don't have to see the whole number. It like divides it by 1,000 or whatever.
That's a good idea.
But I mean, I don't think it's a huge right now. I mean, I've been very guilty when I talk about the secondary stats. I've called that a squish a few times, which I guess technically is not the correct term for that. But there isn't going to be one anytime soon. If there is going to be one, it'll be next expansion or the expansion after that. It won't be. It won't be this expansion.
Someone is asking about the Cow King halberd, which we should just talk about for a second. So another thing the Cow King has is the livestock Lochaber axe.
Yes.
And
I thought that was a bug. I didn't think that was supposed to drop. When somebody said they had gotten it, I kind of thought it wasn't supposed to, because if you can only loot it once per day, why would they have a piece of loot that was rare?
yeah, no, people are asking about that, and I'm just checking the Wowhead comments, and people are like, "Oh, yeah, I confirmed it only drops from the Cow King. Like, here's something a GM said," and
It's really
guess
strange.
yeah.
But to be fair, it doesn't have a unique appearance. Like there's
Yeah.
and
Wait,
so
it's kind of one sec. It's
it's the one that all the Diabolic Tauren are holding.
Yeah.
That it's the same one.
Yeah.
It's very strange to me that it does that I thought when you said you could only loot the Cow King once per day or once per character, I thought maybe it was just a glitch that it even dropped at all.
Yeah. But yeah, if your character does like weapons with transmog and can use a polearm, try to kill the Cow King.
Yeah.
And see if you get lucky.
Yeah. But also, don't be heartbroken if you don't get it, because it is not a unique appearance. Like you can
it
get
shares a
that,
model
yeah.
with the Splinter Spear. That's a funny name. Or the Orsis polearm.
Yeah. So it's. I mean, I disagree that it. I think it's dumb, but that's the way it is.
Yeah.
But don't be heartbroken if you don't get it, because it's not anything particularly special.
Yeah.
Has anybody tested that? Is it only dropping for characters under 110? Is that a thing, maybe?
No, it drops above it drops for max level characters, but it's scaling, like time warp scaling.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if maybe it only could drop if you didn't have an artifact, maybe. I don't know, I was just kind of pulling at straws, but regardless, don't be super heartbroken if you don't get it. Or try not to be.
It looks like you have to be at least 90 to loot the items, so if you get a portal to Legion Dalaran and you hang around when a treasure goblin dies, then you can, hop in at level 90, I guess.
I saw a lot of complaints too about PvP servers, and I would definitely recommend server hopping to a PvE server if you're on a PvP server, because while PvP is not enabled for the Cow King area, like if you're on a PvP server or you're flagged for PvP, you won't be unflagged when you go through the portal. So if you're farming in like Dalaran, you're probably gonna have a bad time.
Yeah.
But if you have a bodyguard in Dalaran and you go and you don't lose your bodyguard before you go into the portal, you will not be flagged for PvP when you go in.
All right. My voice is dying and I'm out of order. So I think we have room for one more question.
One more.
What are you guys most looking forward to in 715?
I am looking forward to my legendary getting buffed. I'm looking forward to the new legendary. I really hope I get it. And I mean, and just in general, I'm excited for a lot of the class changes, because I feel like a lot of people in my raid are excited for like Shadow Priest stuff and Hunter stuff. So I'm always excited for new patches, because it always means that a bunch of people who have been on break come back. Yeah. So to be totally honest, the thing I'm most excited for is to see a bunch of people who come back to check out what's going on. Yeah. What
nice.
You,
I think the micro holidays.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Call of the Scarab, and you get a baby hippogriff on your shoulder, and you can maybe like do a tavern crawl and get fancy drinks. So that's my thing.
Yeah, I agree. I really want to do the balloon one. That's the one I'm most excited for. I was thinking about doing a video of that when it comes out and narrating the whole thing, like as if I were the guide. And to your right, you will see a thing from World of Warcraft.
They all have different dialogues as well, which is cool, because like one's like very good, another one's a terrible tour guide, another one's really like snarky, another one is like, I hate balloons, so
I hate balloons.
Definitely exactly. He's like, I have a secret. Good. He's like, my parents love balloons, and like, I hate this job.
That's hilarious.
You're like, well then.
Blizzard's the best, man. They put things in the game all the time. Did you watch the look back at Diablo video by any chance? It was like 20 minutes long.
I didn't.
Okay, so 100%, let me recommend anybody who hasn't watched that. It is phenomenal. Like that, they did such a good job with the production of that video, and they're basically going through and talking to developers who work on Diablo now and some who had worked on Diablo 20 years ago, and there's like, you got Sam Wise, Didier in there, you've got Mike Morheim, you've got Frank Pierce. I love to see that, is it Alan Adham? That's his first name is Alan. I feel like I always call him Adam and it's Alan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so Alan Adham is in it, which when I saw that, I was instantly like, If he would he would come back, he'd announce his unretirement at BlizzCon, come back, and then immediately be involved in something Diablo. I feel like Diablo has these fans that are so hardcore. It's the best thing ever. And the video is, I mean, they're all like doing different impressions of voice actors, and they're all talking about the cow level. And one of the things that I saw in the comments, I was replying to your comment on Wowhead because this is where our relationship is at. Somebody said, what about Stones of Jordan? And I was like, maybe it's like chat stones, because back in, I think it was Diablo 2, there was this one item that was called a chat stone that you could click on it. You could click on it and nothing happened, but people were always convinced that something happened because you could click on it, you could use this item. And so that was an absolute riot, just hearing all the people talk about chat stones and their experiences. They had all the developers talk about their favorite bosses. I feel like I almost get emotional every time Mike Morhaime talks about his fandom towards one of Blizzard's games. I don't know what that's all about, but it's he'll talk about Warcraft back in the day, and I'm like, his baby.
You can tell how passionate he is about it all.
Yeah, and I think it was a really, really good video. And Sam was really funny in it too. Samwise Didier was in it, and he was talking about how when Diablo was pitched to their board of directors, it was pitched as an action adventure turn-based RPG with claymation, and he wasn't kidding. That was how Diablo was originally pitched. And I'm just thinking Celebrity Deathmatch with Leah and Deckard Cain. If I don't know how old any of you guys are in chat, but Celebrity Deathmatch was a thing in the late 90s that was claymation. It was ridiculous, but so it was a really good watch. Definitely check it out. If you are interested in anything that we talked about today as far as videos or images, go to wowhead.com. Check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/wowhead. I do want to take a moment to thank everybody who joined us here in chat today. We had a huge turnout for our audience, especially being that we were a little bit late and Perk was sick, so we really appreciate you joining along with us. We really appreciate it. And thank you to all of our new subscribers, and thanks to everybody who watches us on YouTube or on Wowhead the next day. You can catch us live if you would like to every Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern time, and then we usually upload the VOD that evening to youtube.com/wowhead, and then also it will be embedded at wowhead.com. As always, guys, we appreciate your support. Thank you so much to Wowhead Premium subscribers for, keeping your ad-free experience in a way that still benefits Wowhead. We really, really appreciate it. Just for anybody who doesn't know, Wowhead Premium is a monthly subscription to Wowhead. Essentially, it removes all of the ads off of both mobile and desktop versions of the site. It allows you to customize certain parts of the site. You talk in a special color when you're in the comments. There's all sorts of perks. It's only $1 a month, and it directly supports Wowhead. So that's all the things we have to talk about today. If you had a question that didn't get answered, feel free to leave it in the YouTube comments, and we'll try to get to it there. In the meantime, though, we are going to go enjoy the Diablo season, enjoy patch 7.15. Have a great weekend, guys. We will see you next week.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.